My name is Brian Kelly. I'm a photographer, director, uh, work in the media industry, creating content, creating all kinds of different things. People probably mostly know me as a photographer, but I've been doing video direction and production for 15 years on top of my 10 years or sorry, 22 years as a photographer. Um, I have three daughters. Uh, Hannah, who's 21, Maddie, who's 19, and Faith, who's 15.
Mhm.
And my wife, Kathy, or Kathleen, depends on the day what we call her. But yeah, I call her Kathleen, Kathy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we've been married 24 years, something like that. 23, 24. I don't know. Don't ask a guy the exact how many years.
You set yourself up for that one, man. I wasn't even gonna go there.
I After 20, if you're over 20, you get a pass.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
I
been a
did.
long
I
time. So
did.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice,
So
very nice.
good cross section of yeah. So yeah, the girls are all different. Every single one of them is different. I think everyone who's a father, knows that, and every kid it surprises you. But yeah, it's been good. So yeah, I'm lucky to have a pretty diverse career. Every day is different. Freelancer, hustle hard. I, you know, just work my networks and try to improve every day at what I'm doing. And even though I've been doing it forever, I'm still hungry. I still love to shoot. Still love to engage with big companies, small companies, ad agencies, whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's me.
Very nice, very nice. So you've got three girls. You're in the girl dad squad is what we are.
Yes,
We are a unique group of
the,
individuals.
we're a special breed, my man.
Yep.
Special breed.
So how has that been? How has your experience been as a girl dad? Because you're in the later stages now. You said your youngest is 15. And so you went through everything from, the first little bit of sass that they gave you. And, at 21, I'm probably sure you've run through I get out of my room, whatever that is, right? So how's that been for you? How's
Yeah.
that experience? How would you describe it?
It's been good. Growing up, I think you have a certain perception of fatherhood or what kids might be like based on your siblings. And I have one older brother, so it was a boy household. My mom was an island. I'm reversed now. I'm kind of a gender island in my household.
Yeah.
But and I have my wife's side of the family is very large, and she has five siblings. They all have, two, three, four kids. And so I have a lot of nephews. But what I noticed a lot having girls and then watching my nephews, I forget sometimes that girls are so different as little kids than boys are,
Yep.
because we have in the basement was this playroom we'd set up for the girls when they're 5, 3, 2. And it's costumes and princess stuff and crafts, and it's very tactile, and like a little stage that they could like do music or pretend they're on stage. My
Right.
nephews would come over, and all of a sudden any kind of toy or object was flying by my head at like eye level, just the physicality in which they play. So and girls are my girls were different, but in terms of just how they play, what they're engaged in, what they can concentrate on for a long period of time is always fascinating to me. But it was a bit of a pivot. I'd lie if I didn't think when I started on my marriage journey, if I it never occurred to me that I might not have a boy, and
Oh.
right, it was just like, well, I'll have a boy. And then
Yep.
the first one came girl.
I didn't even pick
So
out
here's
girl
how.
names.
Yeah, right. Well, my wife she really bamboozled me the first two pregnancies, because what happened was we decided we weren't going to find out, with ultrasound, the gender of the baby while we were pregnant with uh, our first. And she's sick as a dog through the first trimester, like really throwing up a lot, just like can't get it, just can't keep food down, the whole thing, a lot of drama. You know, it was good. The baby was healthy, but it was just hormone central.
Oh,
And then what happened? She just saying, I know it's a boy. The whole pregnancy, 9 months. It's a boy. I can feel it. It's a boy. So I'm thinking, this is a boy, right? First one, boy, probably. She's telling me, like, the mom's telling me she's carrying it. It's gonna be a boy. You know,
hype you
baby
up.
gets delivered, flips around. It's like, that's a girl. And then I was like, okay, well, no problem. Think more about girl names really quick. But
Yeah.
same thing happens with baby too, right? We decide not to get the sex of the baby. My Kathy's telling me the whole way through, oh, for sure. It feels different. This is a boy. This is a boy. Girl.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when the third one came, I was like, we are finding out. You're not doing this to me again in the final. Like, and it wasn't that I was thrilled, you know, babies were healthy, everything's fine.
Right.
But
Right.
at the same time, I was like, you know, you had me prepped for a boy.
Boy. Yeah.
And now you know, then I get the last, you know, I meet my child, and it's not the gender I was expecting both times. But that was fun. I wouldn't change it, you know. It was great because I think there is a special bond between dads and daughters.
Yep.
I don't have anything to compare it to, you
Right.
know. It is my bond, but like a lot of the, you know, the stereotypes you want to put on, I think there's some truth to those. You know, there's definitely like I have a, but it's a different relationship than with mom, you know. They can be a little more at each other about stuff, and I don't seem to get a lot of noise, and I can just be there to listen and pick and choose these great little moments. But the go-to, if there's a crisis, it's mom. If it's a bad day, it's mom. Or they're just like, she seems to bear the brunt of the good and the bad, and I tend to like
No.
be the friend. I guess, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic, but I love having girls. I think it's great. I think it'll only get better as I get older,
Yeah.
you know, like older in my late 60s, 70s, hopefully 80s.
Yeah.
I just think they're gonna take care of their dad, you know. Then they will their mom. But you know what I'm saying? It's like
Mom, you can
there's
go.
something yeah. There's just something about it, you know. There's a little less pressure. I can just kind of listen
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and talk to them. They work through problems differently than boys, you
Yeah.
know. You always don't have to have a solution. That's one thing I learned,
Mhm.
is the difference between dads. Well, I think dads hear a problem a lot of times, or husband will hear a problem, or they're sharing a bad experience.
Uh-huh.
And our first inclination is, okay, so what we got to do is fix this, fix that. I got a solution. And they don't even really want the solution for a minute. They just want to be heard.
Just
Just
want to talk
listen.
out. Yeah.
Just talk it out. Be there, be present. And I'm saying this like I'm good at it. Like, you know, there's times I can sense, read the room, and other times I'm not as good at it. Maybe I'm a little less patient, or I want to get to the solution so we can get over the working, get through all our feelings about things.
Yeah.
So, you know, you listen and learn. But I think being a dad, it isn't just trying to, you don't want them to have any problems. You know, you don't want them in pain emotionally or physically. But at the same time, you want to fix it all
Yeah.
and come up with solutions. And that's not always what they want the first time they're talking it out. So
It becomes real
listening,
tricky.
yeah, kind of slow it down. I try to be quieter, you know, and not give a ton of advice. Just let them talk and talk through it, and not stop them and go, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have done this or that. I just let them talk it out. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's my only advice.
Yeah. That's
Is
fair. That,
not my only, but
yeah. No, I got you. I got you. That's fair though,
slow
because
down.
you learn along the way, is, and I think as a guy more so, like you said, you're trying to fix it. You're like, okay, this is the problem. I see a straight line to the solution. Let's get there. Where they just want you to just sit in the car next to them and drive slowly to that destination. Don't try to get on don't jet plane me there. Get in the car with me and just ride with me so I can sob this out until we get to the solution, Dad. And that's one thing
Yeah.
I think is big.
Yeah, and give them options, maybe not be so prescriptive and just kind of say
Mhm.
like, well, okay, well, maybe one approach might be this. And I remember at 5, 6 through like middle school is a tough age for girls too, because there can be little cliques that develop, little alliances in classrooms.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get invited to this or that. And it's really hurtful. And it's just, I think it's not nothing new. It's just as old as humankind. But I think, it's tricky. But I remember those times where you can't make somebody invite your kid to something and you shouldn't, but
Right.
you're also like, that just seems wrong. Like what happened? Like we, try to cast a bigger net with but what gets petty is these little junior high schooly sort of intentional little bowling balls that get thrown down the alley occasionally and then upset the apple cart. And then I think back to my high school and it's like, yeah, it was just like that in my when I grew up too. It's like hear about, two best friends like
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's like they're on the outs, a lot of drama.
Yeah.
But it's tough, because you have to watch. I think it's a parent. I don't think it's a dad or mom thing, but like watching them sort of try to deal with stuff and manage it. And hopefully they're managing it on their own or coming up with their own ideas. You're just there to help, support, listen, ease in some suggestions here and there, but ultimately let them go.
It's their life.
Uh,
It's
I had a
realistic.
question for you though about kids first and second.
Okay.
What impresses me when I look back now, 21, 19, 15, there was a point, maybe it was 3, 4, 5 years old, when they started talking and you started to get a sense of their maybe before that, even 18, 24 months,
Yeah.
the sense of their personality and how much that's already pre-wired out of the box.
Dude. you-
100%.
It.
Like it's like they're kind of the same person they were at 3 or 4, like those same basic sort of that little whatever makes them them. They're still that at 21 and 19. And it was distinct at
Huh?
2, 3, 4 years old.
Right out the gate. It,
And
it
not that they don't surprise you, but
Yeah, it's caused me to go down some rabbit holes a few times, like thinking to myself, are we just preconditioned to be who we are? Are we just, I've gone down that rabbit hole because my daughters are legit, like from day one, they just are who they've been. I have this video and I'll have to post it one of these days with my youngest daughter, and she has just always been aggressive, lack of a better word, right? She just and she does that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But she's sensitive at the same time. So she is actually the most sensitive out of the group. And my oldest daughter has
Yeah.
always been quiet and observant. Like she just always is like, hmm. You always catch her looking. She's always up here. And nothing has changed. They are 5 and 6,
Yep.
going on 6 and 7 this year, and they are the same girls they've been. It's like it's crazy how much they've maintained those personalities since they became, since they came into their personality. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about the characteristics of a firstborn and a secondborn.
Yeah.
Like the second one tends to be a little more physical, a little more outgoing, maybe a little more rambunctious, a little more
Yeah.
prone to trouble. And that's certainly true with ours.
Yeah.
And the first one tends to be a little more relates well to adults.
Mhm.
Has a maybe slightly ahead of maturity. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it seems like. And there's a lot of consistency. All of my friends, there's a lot of consistency when they're like, "Oh, my number two is trouble, like
Mhm. Mhm.
crazy." My two daughters, not my middle one's not necessarily trouble in that way, but was very. I call her my boy, because she was into sports and she was very physical.
Yes. Yes.
First one had no interest in sports, nothing like that, and then Faith is her own little world, but like in terms of just how different they enjoy play, sports, not sports. One's super book smart, the other one's not so book smart, but super smart in million other ways, emotionally intelligent, and it's amazing but you could see the markers for it. You can draw a line back to 3, 4 years old, and you're like, yeah, those basic fundamentals were there. They
Yeah.
were right on the page.
So let me ask you, what do you feel like, with that being the case, what do you feel like you've learned most about yourself since becoming a dad?
Man, that's a great question. I think it's and having girls, it's really understanding women more, and
Oh,
not just the women in my life, but all women that I might work with, a client relationship, like just kind of having a sense. It's a, I don't know, spidey sense might sound weird, but like just a frequency that I think I'm more tuned in on, just in the air. Like it's a signal, something I can pick up. I've always related really well to coworkers and women, and I like having women on my photo sets, and not just to have women. That's not what I'm
right.
saying on the set. It's just that there's a good vibe, good energy
Yeah. The
to
nurture.
it, and yeah, it's different than when it's all dudes, and I like that too.
Yeah.
It's a different type of set, different vibe, different tone.
Yeah.
But I guess the other thing is we've had some challenges with our kids' health.
Mm,
My Maddie was when my who's 19, she's the middle child we've been talking about. She was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at 4 years old,
wow.
which a lot of people don't understand the difference between type 1 juvenile diabetes and just diabetes type 2. Type 1 is a terrible disease. Your pancreas stops making insulin. You're insulin dependent. You need shots for all the different types of carbohydrates you're putting in your body. You need insulin. Your body doesn't make it anymore. And you can be otherwise healthy, but have to check your blood glucose 8, 10 dozen times a day, finger pokes, blood sticks, all that stuff. And then all these shots when she was little. Now she has an insulin pump that she wears all the time, and it's a lifelong disease.
Wow.
So that rigor of being 4 years old and having to hold her down to give her administer shots because she just had a mac and cheese or a slice of pizza, or and had to concentrate on calculating the grams of carbohydrate to the insulin you have to give her.
Yeah, dude.
And you never get a break from that disease. But I've also learned and been inspired so much by her, how resilient she is,
Yeah.
how strong she is, how nothing's going to stop her. And but the discipline, or living a life where you would take that yourself, Mitch, you would take that diabetes and insulin dependent on, I'd take it in a heartbeat so she wouldn't have to have it. I know it's something you can manage, but like a lot of people think diabetes is just for older people or kids who drink nothing but Mountain Dew and play video games all day and just overweight. Now, that is a type of diabetes, but it's not one where your body just stops making insulin, and without insulin, you'll die. So it's a really life threatening disease. So we live in that. And the other wrinkle to our story is that Faith was born, she had a stroke, a massive brain hemorrhage at about 36 weeks in the womb, and arrived by emergency C-section. And we had all these normal ultrasounds up until it was about the 39th week. They went back and thought she might have had this brain hemorrhage in the womb, maybe at about 36 weeks. So we're getting
Christ.
a last minute ultrasound. Our OB says, hey, you know what? My wife was 37. I was 36 at the time. And she said, go get, go, let's just get another ultrasound. You're 37. Let's just make sure everything looks great. Everything looks good from here, but go tomorrow and get an ultrasound. And then they discovered all this fluid on her brain. And we'd had like 3 perfect ultrasounds before that. So in our world, we're 2 for 2 with
Right.
healthy deliveries. And then this one, Faith was, uh, they had to do an emergency C-section. Her head was filling up with uh, blood, blood basically, and spinal fluid. And it was a normal delivery would have killed her. If she'd been delivered vaginally, she would have died.
Yeah.
So they took her C-section and would start to work on brain surgeries to relieve the pressure in her brain and some other stuff. So the end result of that is that she's fine. It was touch and go for a while, but we've really been through it as a family in terms of crises. And I don't know, there's a lot of pain that people experience in life. A particular type of really extreme pain is when emotionally is when you can't make your kids healthy, like you can't fix them. And that's what's it's hard and it's heartbreaking, but it also gives you this resolve, this appreciation, the silver lining. Like our daughter Faith could have easily not been here,
Yeah.
but she's here and she's perfect in the way that she is. She has her challenges and deficits, but man, that's what I've learned. So coming through those types of it really tempers you and makes you stronger as a family, or it can break a family apart. It's certainly there's stress. There's things that um, we're not perfect. We've had to work through stuff, and it's taken a toll on our marriage in some ways. In other ways, it's made our marriage unbreakable.
Yeah.
And other ways, we don't have a traditional marriage because even now at 15, she's still prone to seizures, and we have to be near her, and we can't. It's a difficult thing. So
Wow.
we don't have a typical family life. And I say this only to share the backstory.
Yeah.
I am whole in every single way as a father. I'm so happy
Yeah.
with every one of my children and how they are. And in some ways, I'd say I'd take all their health risks and whatever problems they are having. I would take it myself, but like I wouldn't be the man. I wouldn't be the man and have empathy the way that I feel I have empathy
Yeah.
for other people if I hadn't walked a
Yeah.
certain path myself. So and our oldest, the other hard part about being a dad is I'm exemplifying it now in this conversation because my oldest Hannah, who's 21, is in perfect health, is a genius. She just graduated from University of Michigan, but her whole life has been kind of uh, been dealing with the intensity of these two medical issues that my kids have had her entire life. So it's a different way of relating to her, and there isn't as much attention because she's healthy, she's fine, she's performing well, and I'm sure she has her own uh issues that she works through or things about our family, but that she probably feels like, hey, what about me sometimes? And so it's it is what it is, but you work through it. And it's in our case, we've been lucky that we've had good family examples around us, good strong marriages, and our parents on each side are still married and long time, 50, 60 years. So but that doesn't help, that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily help you get through your shit. You know what I mean? Like you have to get through it together. And there's times we do a really good job as a married couple, parenting through this stuff, and it's stressful. And other times we don't do a great job, and it makes for a bumpy month or two until we can, you know, find that time to reconnect. I'm yammering on. Sorry.
Well, no, no, no. I mean, this is kudos to you and your family, dude, because when I met you, we met around 10 or 11 years ago. And when I met you, we were on a photo shoot, and the energy in the room, I mean, it was so good. Like you have such a good energy about you that is, for what you're talking about, it's impressive. And I always, I had a podcast with an old buddy of mine, and he talked about, him growing up, and he was living in a shelter and running through those and losing his mom at a younger age and things of that nature. And I always, when I talk to people like you guys who have so much going on in their lives and then come out and still have such a genuine positive perspective on life and still pushing forward, still progressing, still, not I just think that it's so amazing to see that happen. because you said it earlier, you just want to take it from your kids. I mean, my kid has something as simple as a cold, and I just am like, let me take that stuffy nose. I
Yeah.
and I don't have a boundary when it comes to grossness. So like I have sucked boogers out of my daughter's nose, and I'm not talking about the little straw thingy. I'm talking about face to mouth, sucked them out of her nose and spit them in the sink. Yes, I know, TMI, but this is the kind of dad I am. But
Yeah.
but I think about that and I go, wow, I can't. I just give you kudos, man. That's amazing, and for you
Well,
and your wife.
first, I appreciate it. One thing that I've found, which is, if I'm being honest, it's partly selfish,
Okay.
but my work, because it's away from the inherent pressures of managing type 1 diabetes for Maddie. When
Hmm.
I'm talking when they're littler, back rewind to our photo shoot 10, 11 years ago,
Yeah.
and Faith having cerebral palsy and seizures, and every day hoping that she can talk at one day, hoping and working through the hoping she can walk normally, and all these things that kids with cerebral palsy have to, there's a whole range, but anyway, there's challenges, very specific challenges that make you wonder,
Yeah.
what is life like to be. But back to what's selfish is that my work, that set that you are on, that vibe, that energy, that's my respite, in a sense, from some of the pressures I feel at home. It's
Yeah.
different. So I don't have to worry about diabetes for 8 or 10 hours on a photo shoot. My wife's got she's got that lockdown.
Yeah.
So I can enjoy myself. And there's moments where I can just set the vibe and go have fun, be creative. I want to have a good time, because what I've learned through both of this is that in a second, man, you think your life is going to be one way up to a certain point, and then you get news, a
Yeah.
diagnosis, an ultrasound, a phone call, and not in our case, but like, for example, a phone call, somebody's in a car accident, somebody's got cancer, somebody's got, like, I always think of the moments that my life was up to a certain point until I heard exactly what was wrong or what happened to somebody. And it was like, Face had a stroke in the womb, she's got a big brain hemorrhage, and then just like this vacuum that just like, it's like being in space. You just feel like you're floating,
Jesus
and
Christ.
you just not sure how you can get back. But after that, you have to find a way forward to, again, going back to guy mode, find some solutions. What's our life? What is our plan? What are we going to do? How are we going to make this the most? How are we going to help each child, even our oldest who's healthy, actualize into beautiful human beings that have agency and power in their own lives and can create their own opportunities? And that approach has been the same for every kid, but
Mhm.
it doubles you down. But this world of work and travel, so I'm fortunate. I traveled pre-pandemic. I traveled for a decade all over the country doing different kinds of photo shoots or video shoots or whatever it might be.
Mhm.
That was my time to kind of like recharge, focus on one thing. I didn't have to worry about necessarily, I mean, home and management of things, because my wife's amazing and she gives me that space, but she sacrificed her career to stay home and take care of these kids. And I say sacrifice loosely. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege, but it's not a normal life. It wasn't what we had planned, but it's our life, and it's awesome, you know? And it's awesome because we can give each other space and time in between uh moments where it's really hard, you know? So I just, yeah, it's hard, it's different. I wear it, I take more time to appreciate moments in the day, and I never would have done that. I never would have done that had I not traveled a certain path. Or you appreciate, or sometimes you see somebody post something on Facebook or on some social platform, and they're bitching about something,
Mm. Perspective.
bad service at a restaurant. It's like, really? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's what you're upset about?
Yeah.
Really? Uh, anyway, so it's easy to look outward and do that stuff, but I'm really, if anything, it focuses me every day at least for moments. Some days I'm better at it than others, but to really kind of breathe in what's good about today, assess where you're at, your life, where you've been, your family, how healthy they are relative to what the world is, what the country we live in, opportunities we have. Anyway, I hope I don't sound too
Dude,
soapboxy, but like,
you're not. You're not, because here's the thing, and as you're talking, I am really, because both my girls had a cold a couple weeks ago. And first thought in the times that we were in, it's like, oh my gosh, hope it's not the worst of the worst. And thankfully it's not. But in that time, I'm thinking to myself, my daughter is getting up at this time in the morning. My youngest daughter has asthma, so she was born with some difficulties herself. She was premature when she was born. She was, she we had to go C-section because if similar, if she came through the womb, she wouldn't have made it. And to walk out of that hospital and have her, and we were sitting there waiting for NICU, waiting for them to take her away, and they didn't. And so as far as perspective goes, right? Because when I talk about being a dad, I generally talk about from my experiences, my knowledge of it. So I go from the basic, my child has an attitude and da, da, da. So to hear your angle, like I kind of feel like a heel. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of
it's
feel
not
like,
it. It's no, dude. So you know what it's like when they take your child into NICU. You
yes,
know, like the
terrifying.
how terrifying that is. That's
Yeah,
horrifying. It's horrifying. You're
yeah,
like, what happened? This is supposed to be happy. This is not supposed to be so stressful. This isn't like, why is my world upside down?
yeah.
So those things, but yes, we still have the same moments. I'm mad at them because they, leave dirty dishes in the sink when the dishwasher's right there,
Mhm.
and it's empty. It didn't even need to be empty, just
Yeah.
rinse, slot it in. It takes 10 seconds or less, and it's like, will you please just do.
That
So
machine that does it for
there's
you.
all of that, but
Yeah.
underpinning all that stuff, is it's underscored by everything else could be so much worse. We're not in the hospital right now. We're not getting surgeries. We're not, at the moment. She and Faith had a major surgery a year ago and then was in Mary Free bed for 12 weeks, learning to walk and strengthen her legs again. And, she's
Yeah.
15 years old and spent all last summer in inpatient and outpatient rehab. My wife's there the whole time, with her side by side, and it's amazing to watch. So what have I learned? I've learned also that the most inspiring people in my life are people I live with. My wife, all three of my girls, Hannah for being a brilliant person who's a great big sister to two younger siblings that aren't exactly normal in the normal sense or have their own challenges, and then Maddie, who deals with something on every single day with type 1 diabetes. Like I just, that's amazing to me that she's who she is at this point in her life with everything that she's dealt with she's had this disease for 15 years. She barely remembers a time when she didn't have diabetes, when she didn't have to give herself an insulin shot or give herself insulin for everything she ate. And then Faith is just this light. Everyone loves her that meets her. She's
Yeah.
gregarious and amazing, and a good conversationalist, even though she's still working on speech and
Yeah.
people understanding her. It's just amazing. But really, that's what I've learned is that if I ever feel lazy, which is plenty, it doesn't last long, man, because Maddie works harder than I ever have in the day of my life, and Faith does too. In terms of just getting through their day, the energy it takes. And here I'm fortunate to be able-bodied and able-minded, and sometimes I'm slothful and fat, and I put on pounds, and then I try to take it off. It's like,
Mhm.
what's my excuse? I don't have an excuse. Look at these
Mhm.
powerful women around me,
Wow.
So
Wow.
it keeps me motivated, but it's also a checkpoint. Sometimes you don't want that checkpoint, because it's like, oh Jesus, why can't I just be mad about, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't get that gig that I wanted, like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like, no, I came home and Faith is happy. She's like, hey, Dad, how
Yeah.
was your day? It's like, great. How was your day?
Yeah.
It snaps you back. So there's reality checks everywhere. I say all this not to say I got it figured out, man. Every day is like, well, I'm a little afraid, phone might ring, there's a seizure or something. It can still interrupt my day. That even when we were doing our shoot 10, 11 years ago, there can be a moment in any day where I might have been photographing you and I get a text and I literally just chuck my camera on the floor and leave
Yeah.
and shoot's over. I gotta go home, or I gotta
Yeah.
do this. But then not fortunately that's been only a couple of times, right?
Mhm.
But that's always in the back of my mind, like, oh, that might happen. I don't think about it, but it's like it's a potential to happen.
Well,
But
you can't not have it at least in the back of your head somewhere. And
yeah, well, it's
it's
the same
interesting.
for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a little more upfront for us just
Right.
because we've had experiences like that.
Right.
But like anyone could get that call of like,
That's
your
true.
your mom fell and broke her hip, and then your world changes. You're gonna go whatever you had planned for the next 2 weeks, throw that out the window.
Becomes so much
It's
less important. It becomes
true.
so much less important. And with that, you said something earlier that I kind of hugged onto because when you talk about why can't I fill in the blank, right? The reality is that there is a little bit, and I talked about it on the last podcast. There is a little bit where you have to you also have to be good for you, right? You have to be
Hmm.
good for you in order to be good for the people around you. I mean,
Yeah,
put your mask on first, then put your kid's mask on, right? They say it all the time in the airport.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
with that, how do you feel like, what role do you feel like your dad played in the person that you are today? Because, dude, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking to myself, yo, this is like, this is heavy. This is heavy for me to think about. This is heavy. This is perspective. And obviously you don't know until you're in a situation how strong you can be. Um, so me not
Yeah.
knowing how I would handle it, but I'm curious to know where you get that kind of resolve from. If you feel like it comes from, more so mom, more so dad, maybe a combination of the two. How do you feel like your relationship with your dad has molded who you are today?
Yeah, my dad's great. He was uh busy growing up, but always there. He was an airline pilot for United, and he would travel, 3, 4, 5 days overnight. I wouldn't see him for a week, and then he'd come home for 3 or 4 days. But he called every night. Like this is pre-cell phone. You couldn't text your dad. You couldn't, this is talking the 70s and the 80s. But
Yeah.
he had an intense interest, and we had to get on the phone and talk to him every night. But Brian, your dad's on the phone, come pick up a phone. And I pick up one of the other landlines and talk to him for 10 minutes or whatever. And he was great, and he's also very driven. Like he's very athletic and like competitive, and I think that's helped me to forge and keep going, and I've learned from his examples that way, to just keep setting goals, even if they're ones for your family, or like today I'm going to take. I'll go back to one thing that you prefacing your question with is I think you do need to, there needs to be some element of self-care for
Yeah.
yourself so you can be available. You can't just take all the stress of having a certain family dynamic on yourself. You need to carve out a
Yeah.
little bit of time each day or on the weekend or whenever you can, and really say prioritize that and say that's my self-care time. And we've also reached out for help. We've gotten uh, a therapy, we've gotten family therapy at times, and it never wasn't a long engagement, but these are good little, it'll get you corrected and back down the right path, because you can get stuck in stress and anxiety and fear, all kinds of things you can get stuck in. But there's help out there. There's people that will listen. There's people that can professionally guide you. But mostly it's like as a family trying to circle the wagons. in a sense. I don't like that term I just used, but I don't know. But there's something about kind of checking in, little temperature checks with people, and you can sort of sense when things are getting off the rails one way or
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
But I've learned from them. Also, my father-in-law Hank is just he had 6 kids. He had a big family growing up, like tons of aunts and uncles and cousins, and they rely on family, they rely on each other, they help each other. But he's like the ultimate quiet patient. You can tell him anything, no judgment. Like he'll tell, he's a great Hank is just a great guy to talk to. He'll listen. He's doesn't have a stake in it. He doesn't judge you. He just can do that, and it's nice to have a balance between my dad and my father-in-law
Yeah.
to sort of temper. And it's not like, I'm 52. I don't go to them. I'm not like a 24-year-old trying to figure
Right.
out life. But
Right.
at the same time, I know if I really want to work something out, that they're always there. And but yeah, my dad definitely has been very disciplined his entire life. I'm not that disciplined. I'm more of that creative, free spirit, right brained, kind of unorganized sort of person. But at the same time, yeah, you too, very focused. I'm still very focused, very driven with a lot of things, but like modeling some of my dad's approaches to getting through things has helped me, although there hasn't been, I don't think there's ever like the exact footprints you got to follow.
Right.
It's just you're given your own situation. And I it's funny, you should have a podcast too just about aging, being 52. But I really, I'm excited. I really feel
Yeah.
like I can't wait in some ways to be 62, because I think it takes, I didn't really feel confident as a professional or as a human being till I think I was in my early 40s, like 10 years ago.
Dude, oh my gosh. So that is an interesting thing you just said. So here's why. Because I feel like like everyone, you get to your 20s, and in your 20s, I think that we all think in your 20s is when you figure it all out. Like as a
Hell no.
teenager, and you think in my 20s I got it. I got a job. I'm probably have a car. I probably have my first apartment or whatever the case is. This is when I figure it out. I'm a grown up. And you learn as time goes on. Like I was just talking about the fact that I personally just got secure with who. And Brian, you got to understand, since I got out of high school, I've been on, you name it. I've been on sets, I've been on stages, I've been on TV shows, commercials,
Yeah.
movies. I have just in the last 2 years developed my sense of like self and security with who I am and confidence. And this is
Yeah.
like, so what you say
Yeah.
just now is like,
Wait till you're 42, dude. That's when I got good about like really kind of to really kind of like myself,
yeah,
was in
yeah,
my early 40s. Like really going, okay. And then professionally some confidence too. And even now I'm working actively on really having confidence in what I do and knowing that I do something very special, very unique for what I do. If people want me to do something in
right.
a photography or video project, man, I think I've dedicated my whole life to it. So I better be damn good at it, right?
Yeah.
And to accept without feeling this West Michigan nice, oh shucks, you never can have any like confident arrogance and confidence are two
Yeah.
different things. You don't want the arrogance part,
Yeah.
it's the confidence that you need. So that also I think comes to being older as a father. You kind of come out the other side as some things, you see your kids are doing great and
Mhm.
they're really sort of wired to do what they do. You just kind of like help them keep the wheels on or put them back on when they fall off, and then let them keep going.
Yeah.
And uh but I'm not worried about getting older. Like I
Yeah.
almost, I don't physically, yeah, sure. Would I'd like to, you know,
That part.
go downhill skiing and then not feel like I've been in traction for yeah, I need to be in traction for 2 weeks.
You.
But yeah, I mean, but just the whatever wisdom or smarts or street smarts or that accumulated sort of data life and the confidence in that sweat and small stuff. That's the other thing I've learned through this is, as you mentioned, don't sweat small stuff.
Mhm.
It's not worth it. And I really try to cultivate people I enjoy being around, because I don't want to, I don't need to, I don't need to spend time with anyone I don't want to. Like, I build my sets, I build my crew, my productions.
Yep.
The only people I invite to work as a wardrobe or hair and makeup person or a photo assistant or a camera guy on video or a gaffer or grip, these are all people I'm going to enjoy being around for 8 to 12 hours a day.
Yep.
There's no assholes on my set, man.
Cool.
If they are, they don't get invited back. Like, life's too short. I'm not sweating you and your problems on my set. So
Good energy.
being able to control that world, that's the other thing. So I guess this is getting way back
Yeah.
to earlier in our conversation of help. It's like when your kids have health crises that you can't fix,
Yeah.
there's a certain part of your world that feels entirely out of control.
Mhm.
Entirely. You can't fix it. You're at the mercy of the wisdom of doctors and medications, and you can't fix it. Right. So, this world that I live in professionally has really become this oasis again, but also it's the world I can control. I hire everybody on my set. I choose the clients, or they choose me. We want to work together. So there's this symbiotic thing. So when it comes time to work, it's great, man. I get to go hang with some people I really respect, all the way up and down, from the production assistant to the most important client on the set. We're gonna have a blast because I can control that. I'm
Yeah.
not in the mercy of like somebody else to uh set the mood, set the tone for the day, because I want to have fun. So anyway, again, that's sort of like this corral. It's selfish in a good way because
Yeah.
I can control that, but I also am not going to sweat small stuff, and I'm not going to suffer any bullshit because I have a lot of bullshit in other areas I can't control.
Right.
So, and not to say that their circumstances are minimized or BS.
No.
Point is that this is just the residue of not being in control of certain aspects of your life.
So that particular thing you said there just now, there's a certain level, and I'll use the word selfishness. I think that there's a certain level of selfishness that you have to have as a person in order to have peace of mind and freedom in your bubble, in your environment. I that particular thing, I feel like people need to understand, or people should try to look into the fact that a lot of people extend themselves. You extend yourselves. You keep giving of yourself. Like, I think of things that are so small, so minimal, and it sounds silly, but there are times, and I'm sure we've all done this, where you make plans, and then time comes for those plans, and you're just like, man, I just want to go to bed, or I just want to, lay on the couch. But yeah, obviously you made plans. And so for me, like, I don't make plans unless I know I'm free and clear, my brain's empty, I don't have a thing I got to do in the morning and I have to fit it in. Because when I go and hang out with friends, when I go and do something, I want to enjoy what I am doing. I don't want to feel like I'm obligated in an appointment, or I have to get done and run over to this spot. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. My
Right.
girlfriend and I, we're going out of town for a little bit, and we were talking about, you know, it's a resort and they've got all the activities to do. And it's like, we looked at each other and like, I don't want to do all those activities. I want to actually, I don't want a vacation after my vacation. I just want to go
Right.
and relax,
Yeah.
right? So you say
Be
that, and
present. Yeah.
yeah, it triggered, because it's like, I think it's fair as a dad, but as a person in general, to go, you know what, I'm gonna unwind. I'm gonna take this time for me. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
selfish, and take this time
Yeah.
for me, because you need it.
Uh, I think another word for that selfishness you're describing is just having boundaries, right? It's very easy, especially as for freelancers, to, let, still working email at night or responding to something because you shot all day, and you're just, it's like, what? I can respond to those in the morning. I just don't need to clear my head.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to want to like keep working, but like just saying no. The other thing the pandemic taught me, well, I guess we haven't talked about the pandemic, but one thing the pandemic taught me is that when everything sort of stopped in the production world, like, I survived. I didn't have to take every job. I didn't have to run and grind so hard. Like
Mm,
I really just want to do the work that and work with the people that want me to work with them,
yeah.
and kind of a less sort of transactional thing to what I'm doing. So, but having that time and setting some boundaries, saying no to some things, saying I'm not going to get that, uh, and people will accept that. People are fine. It's like, if you're emailing me at 7 o'clock tonight that needs an answer, like that's not my problem. Like that, you should have asked me at 11 a.m., like
When I
when I could
said
have
I was
replied.
available. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I say that it's in practice, it's hard, but I think the pandemic, if there's a silver lining to that thing, at least for me professionally, what happened was just trying to realizing that again, just like with my kid, like uh, what's important, what do I really want to do?
Yeah.
I don't want to be working all hours of the day and night, even when I am busy. Like I want boundaries, and so, but I think client side, production side, family members, they understand. They will understand if you set the boundaries. And I think what you're alluding to when we talk about boundaries and selfishness is just not being run over every day by whatever circumstances, and your plans for a great dinner
Yeah.
got derailed because you want to text something like through the dinner and you're not even there. Like, how fun is that? That sucks. So yeah, it's an interesting world. It's interesting to have that patina, as you say, on us, that allows you to reflect and really not care, not sweat the small stuff. I care, but at the same time, I'm driving this bus. I got 10 to 15, 10 to 20 years left to work, like, and in this capacity I'll be 62, 65. Do I want to do this when I'm 70? I don't know. I'm in that phase of my life. It's like, if I got 10 really great awesome years, maybe it'll be more, maybe I'll work longer just because I love it, but I guarantee I won't work that long if I'm letting everybody drive over me and derail my dinner plans, and I got to reply to an email at 12:30 in the morning. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm saying that to remind myself
Yeah.
to reseat that and hold that agency and power to say, this is how I conduct my business. This is, you're still important, still that, but this is the process. And um, you don't need to scramble around and go crazy. Like,
Right.
you know,
Right. You said it. That's
it's
the process.
yeah,
This is the process.
it's a
Hey,
process, and
this is how I do it.
yeah,
How it works.
this is
So
how we do it.
I'm curious to go back a little bit because in terms of having a process and having three daughters. I mean, I have two, and how I navigate them is obviously different. They just have different needs, so I provide them different things. Um, my oldest daughter always, hey dad, can we snuggle on the couch and watch a movie? My youngest daughter, can we run around the house? Can I ride on your back? Can you be a horsey? Just different energies, right? How do you navigate your relationships with your daughters individually? How do you find yourself compartmentalizing, or for lack of a better word, or prioritizing differently for your kiddos?
Yeah, I'd say it goes in waves. I think it'd be interesting to hear what they would say about that, and I don't really know.
Mm,
In terms of like what Hannah might say, my oldest, about that. Was I present enough? Did I offer myself enough? The other thing I do is I, maybe it's because I'm a guy getting back to like um how we deal with things differently and solving and trying to give them space. Like I'm not a dad that comes in and like knocks on their door if it's closed and they're watching up, like, and I demand their time
Right.
to
Right.
say, how are you today? Like, what's going on with you?
Okay. Interesting.
I'm more like I'll float around, hey, what's up? Try to get temperature, what's happening, or you just sense it innately. It's like, oh, Maddie might have had a bad day.
Yeah.
I just kind of like nudge it in and go, so what's up? How you doing? And you pick your spots. And I'm not a dad that's like gonna stop what they're doing at that moment and go, your dad's home.
Right.
I need a download of your day. Make sure you
Absolutely.
feel paid attention. Yeah. Or making sure. And maybe, I don't know. That's an interesting thing. I've been thinking about that a lot. Like what my daughter did I do a good job at making sure that Hannah felt validated, that I cared deeply about her and her problems versus being too detached? And does that reflect passivity and disinterest? It's a fine line. And uh, if any of them had a problem and they came to me or my wife, I mean, I always have just drop it. Like let's talk about
Yeah.
it. Let's do this. But at the same time, it's different than like what you're saying about like dealing with each one individually.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
my thing is, I'm the steady. I'm just steady. I try to be steady for them. We have a lot of circumstances that are heightened here and heightened there because of health or appointments, or Roy's running around to this checkup and this follow up and all this stuff. But if dad's cool and didn't bring home his own bag of problems, had a bad day or whatever, got drunk on bowling league with his buddies and he came home and he's like I just try to be even,
Yeah.
allow them space to come to me when they need me. And but I wonder, that's kind of in the back of my mind, like could they easily have felt that I was wrapped up in my own headspace or
That's
didn't check in enough, you know what I mean? So it'll
so.
be interesting.
Yeah. So that right there. So like the podcast that's coming out tomorrow, with Mike Bates, we talked about that. We talked about not or feeling like we're not doing enough.
Yeah.
You feel like, and the whole wrap up of it was just like, okay, well, you got to realize that kids are resilient in general. People are
Yeah.
resilient, but kids more so are resilient. And we obviously think of them as our babies. We want to keep them here and keep them safe. But in the realm of setting boundaries and having healthy relationships, I feel like personally, this is a personal feel, that you can only do what you can do. And I say that because I'm a guy that's very into my kids. So like when I'm with them, I want to make it, I have my kids 50-50. So literally I don't go more than 3 days without seeing my kids. And so I have these things that I want to make sure that I'm doing. And at the end of it all, I can't tell you a time where I haven't questioned myself and gone, was it enough? Did I play with them enough? Did I ask enough questions? Did we talk enough? And trying to split that in between two girls, obviously the energy's here, and one wants to chill and be her, just mellow out. The other one is like, let's go run and jump and break stuff. And they have times when they both want to do that. But I I'm one guy. I can't give. I'm not a you know I don't have. I only have so much back. I can only give this much of a pony ride on my back. So we got to take turns. And
Yeah.
are you getting enough? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm tired.
Yeah.
So I think giving yourself
I think
grace.
it's
So
so I think you can give yourself a break. I think when kids are younger, it's very easy. Like you can
yeah,
like rough house for literally 45 seconds and she can run off and be stimulated by that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like and then come back. It gets trickier, I think, when you're older, because what I've tried to do is not be in their face, in their business about who you talking to, like what's that, not even to be like, not even be suspicious, but just like
right.
make them download something that
Yeah.
they just talked about or something.
Show
Like
interest.
to understand that they have little universes that I'm unaware of. They have their school life, their peer life, their life outside of the house. They have their, you know, especially with my kids grew up, by late junior high, they had phones and texting, and y- there's that whole social media world too, and there's all these sub conversations that are happening. It's a little bit scary, but also at the same time, because you don't know what's going on
Mhm.
necessarily until something happened. But like, it's harder to give them the space that they need to develop in those worlds, and then but also feel like you're engaged and know enough of what's going on, so you're not blindsided by something that happened. And I think it's easy to let them. I've tried to walk the line of letting them disappear into their own worlds for 2 3 4 hours every night. Sometimes most of us, as they get older in their high school, they're studying a lot, they're in their rooms, they're
Yeah.
on FaceTime with a friend and whatever. And I don't, and then on a weekend, if they sleep in or something, I might, it's the, you see them on TikTok, these memes coming down of like
Yeah.
the kids all wrapped up in like a daughter's all wrapped up in this big oversized comforter. And like, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They open the fridge and it's like the first time you've seen their kid, and they go right back to their room.
Yep.
And it
Yep.
sort of feels like that sometimes, but like, I just, it's a fine line. And I think, you can only like assess, uh, you can only try to read the room. And if you feel like something's going on, you got to talk to them about it, or at least reach out and say, hey, man, how are you today? It's
Yeah.
been we haven't really talked in like 3 or 4 days. Yeah, I've seen you, said hello, gave you a hug, whatever.
Right.
But trying to walk that line between meddling dad and dad who has confidence that they're doing the right thing and they're conducting their business. And certainly there's signals, there's grades, there's conflicts with other, like there's
Yeah.
markers. If there were red flags, there's certainly red flags. If you ignore those, then there's no hope for you.
The big-
I'm just saying that I've been lucky that my kids outside externally in the world have had fairly minimal drama.
Yeah.
Occasionally here and there, junior high, high school stuff with friends. But at the same time, if you're just, don't ignore the red flags. Is what I'm
Right.
saying. If it's waving there, then you gotta go figure out what's happening. But just that day to day, sort of like, if things are good, like, I'm not gonna make you download your whole day. We're gonna talk or say hi. I'm gonna say, hey, what's up? But at the same time, I wonder, did I ask enough?
Yeah.
Did I hug him enough?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
I, all of that?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well,
I
that's
don't
good
think you
perspective.
ever get it figured out.
Yeah, that's a great perspective because obviously, I've got younger girls, and so hearing, at least a potential future of what to look forward to, it's a good perspective because again, it's like no one has a manual. We all just
No,
are learning, and kids are different. So you got, even if you did have a manual, that's not for that model year. You have a Corvette manual. That's a Camaro. You got, it's like you got to do it
yeah,
that
and
way.
that's kid to kid too. Just like
Yeah,
you, each what your both your daughters have a different manual, and the
exactly.
the clutch is, one's an automatic, the other is a clutch.
Exactly.
It's like, they don't run the same for sure. That's
So
amazing.
let me ask you now, looking back, um, if you're talking to yourself, right? You're talking to Brian right at, you know, there's two lines on this stick. We're having one. Knowing what you know today, what's one bit of advice that you're giving to Brian?
Oh, yeah. Um, uh, Buckle up. Life's bump. Life's bumpy,
Yeah.
and it's unfair.
Okay.
It's unfair, straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But it's also beautiful. It's amazing,
Mhm.
and it's a balance between what you can control and what you can't control. And I would probably tell myself earlier to not sweat as much and feel as much stress and heartbreak about things that I could not control, that were not in my hands, were
Mhm.
not in my purview to fix. and trust. You just, I would say, trust yourself more to,
Yeah.
um, you know, not grind through some of that crisis is hard. But
Wow.
I think it's yeah. That almost got me choked up, dude.
Yeah.
Talking to little Brian.
Yeah.
I was talking to little B, and it was. But yeah, I think it's. But life is hard. I don't think it's not just me. It's
Yeah.
just life is hard. I often say it about professional work too. It's like people say, "Oh, it must be hard to be a freelancer and a photographer and like and make your own own your own business and start over every year with zero income." And like, yeah, it's true. But like, tell me what job is easy. Tell me what business we can all own that's easy and we all make wads of money. Like
Exactly.
it doesn't exist. Like being a banker is hard. Owning a gas station is hard. Being
No.
a server in a restaurant's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so fine. It might as well as long as we're all working hard and grinding. Let's make it something that we you enjoy, and that's what I feel fortunate about, and the family has supported that. They've enjoyed seeing the work that we've all accomplished, because that's the other thing. It's all, if I have a you know
Yeah.
great year, it's because my wife has bore the brunt of me being out of town and taking on more at home and handling the girls' homework and that sort of touch point, because
Yeah.
dad's still doing estimates at night or something. So yeah, but um I realize that's the other thing is life's unfair for everybody. So I don't think you can control circumstances, you can work hard, you can be intentional, but at the end of the day, there's luck, there's things that you can't control, good and bad, that will influence your life in ways you never imagined.
Yeah.
And but it'll work out if you work on being happy right now today. I'm pretty happy talking to you, Mitch. Like right now, that's great. And I'm gonna go up and figure out what's going on upstairs.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to carve out, okay, I'm with Mitch right now. I'm gonna talk to him for an hour.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, if I can just like take that even millisecond to go, okay,
Mm.
for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to go see how Faith's phone call was with her friends from middle school. She's up on a call with some of her, only the boys from her class at St. Stephen that she went to K through 8 with. And
Okay.
they go to different schools now. So I want to go up and see how that call went and
Right.
see if she's excited. And
Oh,
anyway, but this is the moment by moment. It's day to day. Every day can throw you a huge curveball, a good one or a bad one.
yeah.
Sometimes you hit it out of the park. Sometimes you whiff and hit your shin. You hit the ground ball. You hit the ground ball off your ankle, or the
Yeah.
foul ball off your ankle, and you're hobbling around. That's me some
Oh,
days, and then other days I'm grand slam home run. So
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot in between.
Yeah.
But
That's true. That's so true. It's tough and it's always up and down. The nuance of life is immense, and it can come, heavy as the heavy can be, or it can be light, and you feel like you're flowing through it some days, and the second you think you got it figured out.
the rug just like, and you're like
uh,
a cartoon character, just Charlie Brown and Lucy taking the
yeah,
ball away.
exactly. Flat on the ground.
Exactly.
Well, man,
Yeah,
I can't thank you enough for taking the time for doing this.
this
I,
was fun. If
yeah,
anything, just to talk and get caught up. It's been too long, bud.
literally, I'm with you there, man. As things progress, have you, out of curiosity, side note, have you done or interested in the shot? Have you done that? Anything at all?
The shot. What
The
do you mean?
vaccine?
Oh yeah, we're on every list because we're trying to Maddie got hers because of her type 1 diabetes. She's had additional exposure. And then
Okay.
Faith with cerebral palsy is as well. And they just opened and the time we're this week on Monday.
Okay.
Now, anyone who is a caretaker with someone with special needs is escalated up. So my wife has one tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think hers is tomorrow. I haven't gotten the call yet. So we're hoping to get it done. But anyway, yeah, I'm getting it as soon as I can get one in my arm.
Nice, nice. I've been I'm one of those people that's very skeptical about it, and on the other side of the fence, and what my girlfriend got it, and she had absolutely nothing, no side effects, not even a fever. So I've been thinking about it heavily, but I say all that to say, one of these days we can get out there and grab a brew or something, man, and catch up.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I'd encourage you to get vaccinated. There's no stories of people like the wheels coming off, but like my dad was hesitant for a while too. He was worried about. He wanted to make sure it was safe.
Yeah.
There was enough, I think. But if anything, I'm more worried to like. Anyway, it's you do you, but I'm gonna get that vaccine. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
no, I
dude.
feel you. I
Just
feel you.
over my own piece of meat.
I feel
It's
you.
all good.
I
I'll still hang out with you,
yeah.
but I'll be vaccinated.
That's straight. That's straight. I always said it like I was like, I'm gonna get the vaccine. I just don't want to be first in line. Is all I said it from the beginning. It's
Yeah.
like, when everybody after people are done growing their tails, then I'll go get the one that doesn't have the tail in it.
Yeah, my dad was hesitant. He's 81 and my mom's 80. And I was like,
Yeah.
they live in Florida. I was like, you do what you want to do, but like there's no reason I wouldn't be first in line to go get that thing. And then they waited I don't know, they waited a couple months and then it was they texted and said we got it. But part of the reason is they want to travel. They want to get up and see their grandkids. We haven't seen them and physically for a year, over a year. So I tell you what, when they come up from Florida, it's not to see me, it's to see those three girls.
That's how it is. That's how it is.
They don't care about me.
No, they never do. My mom, dude, I've been living here for over 10 years now. I've been telling my mom, you should come move out here, because she lived in New York. She lived in the Bronx for a hot minute. And I was like, Mom, you should come move out here. Dude, the second my daughter was born, the next year my mom was here. I've been asking to move out here for years. So
it's about the grandkids.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, thanks for the invite. I am looking forward to hearing it come out, taking in some more episodes, and I'll be sure to share it on the social and get more people, hopefully maybe not to listen to me, but to somebody else on the podcast that you have. So that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, that's what it's really about, just getting all the different perspectives. Because obviously, there's someone like me who just got divorced, who has kids and is going through that side of things. There's someone like, my buddy Manny, who has, he's got his girlfriend, now wife, started the relationship with a kid. So he started out with a step kid, and then now they have their own. There's that dynamic, there's people who are, so there's just all these different ranges. And I think that having that information on some form of platform where you can go in and just listen and go, oh, that's me. That's me. That's my character. Okay, let's see how he handled it. What did life throw at him, and how did he handle it? Because the situations may be very similar. Your situation is a whole new different demographic, and I'm sure there are multitudes of people who deal with this situation. And it's like, how do you, someone who's been, like I said, dude, I remember leaving the set with you and thinking, this dude is super, like, I like his energy. I would work with him again. Like, his energy is so good, and to not even know what's going on in the background, it's just amazing. You never know what people have going on, and so it's cool. But that's what it's all about, man. Just having these situations and different dads and different areas. So
and it's life. It's life. It's the whole spectrum. It's just being human. It's messy. 100%. It's divorces. It's healthcare. It's just tough. Like I said, life's unfair. Stuff happens that you don't plan on.
Thanks.
But like, character is what comes out of that, right? Hopefully we learn from it and you come out, whatever it is, a little better father, a little better business person, a little bit whatever it is. But like, being intentional about learning, it's more about like what you're doing with the podcast. You're curious, you know what I mean? If you can maintain being curious, it'll feed you forever. Like it that's what's cool. It's like, I wonder what that is. I wonder what they did. How did they handle that?
Yeah, selfishly, a little bit of that is me just wanting to get all this information for myself too. Like, admittedly so, I just want to know for myself. I mean, I want it to help someone, but I want to know, how did you get here, and how are you doing this?
I'll send you an invoice. Net net 30 on that thing. I'll give you 30 days.
Yeah.
It's not due
Okay.
on receipt. It's not net 10, net 30. You take a full 30, Mitch. It's
Okay.
cool.
Okay. I'll look for it. I'll look for it. How about I just
Oh
buy the
man.
first round and we call it even?
That's good. Done deal. Done deal.
All right, brother. Well, I'll let you get back to the family. Again, I appreciate you so much, man, and we'll link up soon for sure.
Likewise, Mitch, man. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks, boy. We'll talk to you soon.